Every single game has something annoying about it. It can be an annoying enemy, an annoying game mechanic, an annoying level, or annoying game designs. But I think, out of all the games with annoying enemies, the one with the most is the Battle Cats. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the game itself is annoying, even though it kind of is. There are just so many enemies that there are bound to be some frustrating ones. And when I say frustrating, I mean frustrating. I want to start by saying this video is not going to be another top 10 most annoying enemies in Battle Cats ranking. Instead, I want to talk about annoying enemies that I feel are either unnoticed or over-exaggerated. The original reason I wanted to create this video was to talk about metal enemies. They take 1 damage from everything except critical hits. Few units are capable of critting, and the chances can range from 100% to a measly 2. This essentially makes dealing damage to them purely based on random chance, with some enemies having upwards of 50,000 health. Critical hit units usually have low base damage as well. All of these properties make metals sound extremely annoying and poorly designed, except metals are honestly not that hard. Most metal enemies can be one-shot with a single crit and can be taken care of by using Cat Tornado or Cat Researcher. The higher health ones can be dealt with by Soba or Crazed Monaco. Jurassic or the other spammable critters are great at killing both types of metals. In fact, Jurassic's critical chance up talent is the cheapest to max out in the game. Cameraman's talent is dirt cheap as well, and if you want to go for overkill, invest in Lollycat. Future can stall every metal amazingly, and there are a ton of options for CC. With all this power creep, any threat that metal is used to pose has now been effectively neutralized. And it's not like any of these units are hard to get. The Cyclones are not the hardest enemies, to say the least. The only time metals are actually difficult is if you fight Super Metal Hippo or Metal Seal without Jurassic's true form. I can think of only one level where this is the case. On the topic of difficult metal stages, it's hard to find one. March to Death is extremely overrated. While RNG can screw you over occasionally, the stage is surprisingly consistent and can work with a wide variety of lineups. The Metal Doge waves don't push that hard if you send out the right units, and Metal Seal can be taken care of with guaranteed critters. The SMH wave has the greatest chance of loss due to their many KBs and pushing power, but they are still manageable. In terms of UL stages, no metal stages are really threatening. The thing about metals is that they rarely ever appear in mixed stages. Since anti-metal and crit units are so specialized, they can easily get steamrolled by other enemies. This isn't a problem if the metal enemy in question is a peon, since the threat they pose is low and can be dealt with by Jurassic. But if an enemy like Sir Metal Seal was in a stage with support from other non-metal threats, it would be stupidly cancerous. Thankfully, nothing like that exists, right? Wrong. Iron Sand Beach is a level with Sir Metal Seal as the main threat, backed up by waves of black, angel, and zombie peons and pushers, with hackies to add insult to injury. This stage is extremely difficult and requires good RNG to even have a chance of surviving. This combination from hell is ridiculous to deal with. Spammable critters don't work well because of Sir Metal Seal's tanky health, so you have to rely on Hoopmaster to let Soba or Crazed Monaco to sneak in hits, for all 3 seals. Meanwhile, the seals protect the Gories and the peons from getting damaged by your mid-rangers, forcing you to rely on wave units. The zombies are especially difficult to deal with, and during the entire time, the hackies are killing large groups of your units. Truly one of the most annoying stages of all time. Wait, what's that? Oh, you can just rush the stage? Oh, never mind then. The sheer variety of anti-metal units that have been released has transformed this trait from terrors to twerps. Sir Metal Seal was released 12 versions ago, and Ponos keeps digging its grave deeper and deeper. In fact, the recent influx of Metal Killer Ubers only serves to power creep the trait more, and they're only going to get more common from here on out. Now, I want you to guess how many new metals Ponos has added since Metal Seal. 2. 2 new metals. One of them is among the weakest metal enemies in the game. You don't even need critters to kill it. Crocodinator's sole purpose is to give you money. Its pathetic DPS makes it take 50 entire seconds for one of them to kill a Manic Eraser. The other enemy, Coronium, can be just one shot by a single crit. His waves aren't threatening when you can block them or instantly kill him in a second. Not even the event medals in ZL are threatening. This trait fell off hard, but people keep complaining about its long dead rotting corpse. If Ponos wants to make an actually difficult medal stage, they need to combine the challenging medals with more interesting support that can deny CC or prevent Future from just grinding everything to a halt. Adding Ldoge or Metal One Horn will likely not have that much of an impact due to how weak they are. So far, most of the mixed medal stages with SMH or SMS have just been LD and wave stacking stages where you intentionally keep the medals alive to kill the threat in the back. Oil Spill Rainbow has zombie threats, Relief Towers has Project A, Cloak of Hiding has Gobbles, and Total Myopia, Planetarium Love, and Master of Demon Keep all have Loris for some reason. These stages are a step in the right direction, but they simply reuse the same gimmick over and over again. Also, what's this? A mixed medal stage that isn't based on stacking to go backliners? That's right, Undertow Coast involves Super Metal Hippo and Coronium, with powerful support including Cappy, Mini White Cyclone, and other hippos as peons. You have to wear down the Cyclone to secure a path to Coronium. While both the Cyclone and Cappy are powerful supports, they can also deny Coronium from firing off waves, although using a wave blocker will make this more consistent. You can go for a crit to kill him, but it is possible to wear down his low health through normal attacks. And oh, they made all the big threats spawn late, so it's rushable. That's just sad. I love the idea of animated bases conceptually. It's such a simple yet obvious addition to make stages more interesting and deep in strategy. Now, the Doge base is a fine enemy. It's used amazingly in SOL, allowing for more interesting enemy lineups and new gameplay experiences. Too bad they released Octo True Form just a few updates later. It's kind of sad how easily it gets shut down by wave blockers, but whatever. Now, about the Curse base, I actually like it, but it suffers from limited potential. In most of the stages, you can just avoid its gimmick by staying out of its range. The Aku altars are great additions in my opinion, increasing accessibility to the Aku realms, but the random level selection can screw you over sometimes. And finally, the Surge base. This enemy could have been actually decent if Ponos made just one of the many possible fixes. Lower damage, lower surge level, less unfair spawn range, less range, longer attack time. But no, we got none of that. Instead, we got a super high range unremovable enemy that constantly spams deadly long-lasting surges that land in completely random locations, a base that either does nothing or kills off the whole field. You could use a lineup of mostly surge immune units to avoid the main gimmick of the surge base, but this situation is like dealing with death surges. It just isn't worth it, especially since the base always comes with strong support. You can't kill it either, making it an omnipresent menace and further limiting counterplay. Any cats caught in the surge have to deal with a tremendous 288,000 damage, guaranteeing death for basically anything. And it's level 3 for some reason, meaning it kills a lot more units than it would have normally. The base is also relentless, constantly attacking if anything enters its range of 2,000, double that of the Doge base. In all of its appearances, the base either misses and does nothing, or completely ruins your life. Sometimes its surges feel personal with how often they keep hitting your cats, and after all the main threats are dead, it unnecessarily prolongs the cleanup phase. This enemy is used so poorly in its stages that it makes me want to laugh and cry at the exact same time. It is almost never used to make level dynamics more interesting. Instead, it just makes them worse. However, the Surge base is actually helpful in some ways. Its tendency to prolong the ending of a level also applies to the start off. Peons in UL are hard to control, since undercommitting them leads to the peon weakening your defense, while overcommitting can lead to the main threat triggering early. The Surge base fixes this problem by removing the danger of overcommitting, allowing you to build up money more effectively. Its fast attack rate can clean up units that you don't want alive, and if any meat shields do slip by, its high health prevents them from triggering the 99% boss wave. There also exists the option of luring. Despite how similar this enemy may seem to LD snipers like Tacky or Haggy due to its tendency to kill the back line, luring is preferable because its attacks cannot damage the cat base. This completely removes its influence from the battlefield, although the enemies will have an easier time killing your base, For example, Croakley can snipe your base to death in Reincarnation Ring, and Golem Sunfish or Zangru can wear it down in Retreat of the Living Dead. Additionally, it's not as annoying as you think. Its spawn range is between 150 and 2000 range. You have to be really unlucky for the surge to keep on killing your front line. Most of the time it will spawn behind the enemies or kill a few units, but nothing too debilitating. That doesn't stop me from hating this enemy though. Terral Huku has super high HP, deadly nuke damage, high standing range with a massive LD and a sizable blind spot. Does this remind you of anything? A certain Advent boss perhaps? Yes, that's right, Huku is basically Cruel Angel Clanel. But no one thinks Clanel is annoying, so why does everyone consider Huku to be terrible? Furthermore, Huku has lower health, longer TVA, and a smaller LD range too. Well, my guess is the smaller blind spot and the 20% surge chance. While Clanel's LD range reaches up to 12,000 instead of Huku's 1060, Clanel's range ends at 400 while Huku's ends at 330. This can make slipping in units even harder, and the 20% surge chance is just a cherry on top. It makes his enemy even worse. Ponos had absolutely no reason to add it, and if it lands in the wrong spot at the wrong time, it can kill incoming units or double the damage of units caught in the surge. And Clanel's stage is actually fun. Successfully pulling off the change is just satisfying. But if you try to brute force Huku stages in this way, the support is going to massacre you. His force wing is a lot shorter, so interrupting him with a cannon is a lot harder and less rewarding. Still, Huku shares a lot of similarities to Clanel. But Huku isn't in many annoying stages. In every single behemoth stage he's in, they either give him pitiful support or a delayed spawn to prevent the stage from becoming no plan B for behemoth, making the stage free. Additionally, since he takes extra damage from both Courier and Fishman, it makes it a lot easier to kill him since he has less health and one less KB than Clanel. In the stages where he appears immediately on base hit, these levels can be dealt with by UL True Forms. In Birth of True Man, loser gets shredded by them, ending the main threat of the level. If you don't have UL True Forms, the stage is extremely difficult because at that point you're just playing an even harder floor 44 unless you exploit the stupid spawning mechanics of the peons. And in 2 miles below, Huku's support is Lenore and Shy Boy. Since this is a Huku stage, you're going to be running anti-floating and Courier, which kills Shy Boy fast. Then you're left with Lenore and Huku, which is basically an easier version of floor 44 because you can damage Huku behind Lenore with Courier and Nala. However, don't think that Huku not appearing in any hard stages makes him an acceptable enemy. If Ponos ever makes a stage where he has proper support, it will be a dark day for Battle Cats. Huku represents literally everything wrong with behemoths. Grossly inflated stats, random immunities, RNG, and an uninteresting enemy design. The unit supposed to counter him, Surgeon, is downright terrible, which just adds insult to injury. Please rework him, if not, please send him back to the nursing home and never let him see the light of day again. I'm taking a short detour to talk about Soractes. Everyone knows just how bad he is, but I want to talk about him anyways. This boss feels like if you combine the worst aspects of Mechabut and Dogumaru. First of all, he's a floating boss with piercing omni range, very fast attack speed, can travel across the stage in a few seconds, and has ridiculous damage. How original. The difference is you can't CC him to death this time. He outranges all floating debuffers and resists CC, which doesn't stop Sniperpunk from being the best strategy on the stage. While Soractes as an enemy resembles Mechabut if you couldn't crowd control him, his stage shares similarities to Dogumaru. Both of them are the first boss of their respective saga. While the final boss is a more prestigious spot, the first boss is the next most important one to get right. The sheer difficulty of the stage killed most people's expectations for the future of ZL. Sure, Dogu's stage is hard too, but it never felt as oppressive as Soractes. At least Dogu has more interesting support. Soractes' stage is literally just him and Doge Darks, because any other enemy would make the stage too hard and too cash starved. I really don't know what Ponos was thinking when they made this boss. Did they playtest the stage with a level 50 plus 70 octopus or something? Did they even playtest the stage at all? This boss is a joke. Ldoge, my least favorite enemy in the game. Yes, you heard that right, Ldoge. To someone who hasn't played this game, this might seem like a joke. A Doge variant of all enemies being my least favorite, and it's a little version? What could possibly make Ldoge so bad? You wanna know why? I'll tell you why. Unfair RNG mechanics in strategy games are always bad ideas. Medals aren't bad because there are so many ways to limit the random nature of dealing damage to them. The surge base might screw you over by randomly placing a surge in your front line, but it has limited range and surge immune counterplay. Huku can spam surges at you all at once, but it lacks a real threatening stage where it can use its power to the fullest. But Ldoge is different. There is practically nothing you can do to stop its gimmick. No effective counterplay, no skill-based counters, nothing. Its presence in the level does nothing good for enemy dynamics, only making killing them more frustrating. Now, Ldoge's stats are terrible in every category. Terrible health, attack, and range, even though it has higher stats than Doge itself. This enemy should not be a threat in any way, except for the addition of one ability, Dodge. Yes, that's right, Dodge. A chance to become fully invincible to all attacks from every cat for a whole second. Dodge is balanced on cats because it only affects a few traits, so mixed stages hinder its effectiveness. But guess what? Everything can trigger Ldoge's dodge. When it triggers, nothing you do can kill it. If Ldoge keeps on dodging, the enemies will push up and kill you. The dodge chance might be 20%, but everyone knows it feels so much higher. There is no redeeming factor about it. Nothing good about this enemy at all. What's even worse is that it's a peon is constantly spammed and your meat shields will keep on triggering its dodge. And Curse Blast is not a counter. Its recharge can't keep up with how often it appears, and if Curse Blast manages to land a hit, chances are Ldoge will die anyway since that means its dodge didn't activate. Ldoge is the only enemy in the game that is a pure RNG check. Every single enemy up to this point hasn't ever been this simple, at least they have some depth. Not Ldoge, either you kill him in one hit or he becomes an invincible wall for a few seconds. There is nothing else this enemy. In Tear-Soaked Puppy, its debut UL stage, there is a timer that spams Zolos if you take too long. If Ldoge keeps dodging, guess what? You lose. There is no way to avoid it, no way to refine your strategy or execute it better, you just lose. Oh, but you think I'm done? I'm not done. In Infernal Tyrant Climax, the final stage of stand-up, he is supported with M. Ost. This combination is ridiculously hard to deal with without proper anti-relic, and the Toucan comes out a while later as another threat. Here's the thing though, Ldoge is spammed as a peon during the fight, so if Ldoge keeps dodging, then your entire run is dead. There is nothing you can do to avoid this. You can't equip better units or make better decisions during the battle. Either you win or you lose. This is why Ldoge is my least favorite enemy. Dodge as a concept is cool on the cat side, but not on the enemy side, where there is no counterplay at all. So far I've been talking about why enemies aren't as annoying as they seem, but this is the opposite case. It might not be annoying as some of the other enemies, but when it does screw you over, it feels absolutely terrible. The entire concept of this enemy is flawed to the core.